There was another snowstorm looming when the Senate decided to act. Maybe it's acts of God that require that force action in Washington. But the Senate was even more complicated because it seems to me that it was more about fights within the Republican caucus once again.
Okay, so you in the House, and we've reached the point where like averting catastrophe is considered a huge success in Washington these days. That's how low the bar is. But in the House, it was a situation where the Republicans were all voting against something but counting on it to happen. Ted Cruz, once again Ted Cruz, decides that he is going to try to prevent this debt ceiling increase from even coming to the floor. Therefore, he forces a lot of his Republican colleagues, some of whom have primary challenges, hello Mitch McConnell, hello John Cornyn, to vote in favor of of letting this proceed to the floor.
Because normally it would be 50 votes would be all that you needed.
And as a result, this blocks the filibuster, and then it can pass on 50 votes. But nonetheless, we now have a bunch of Republicans who potentially have difficult primary races on the record as allowing a debt ceiling increase to go through. So Ted Cruz is not the most popular person in the Republican caucus.
The drama on the Senate floor that Karen was talking about before was relatively unexpected. This was not something that Ted Cruz had to do, and I think if Ted Cruz hadn't done it, there wasn't anyone else who was prepared to do it, and it didn't have any consequences for the Senate Democrats. They're not the ones who was hurt by this. I think that's why so many Republicans are angry at Ted Cruz about it, is it forced Republicans, some of them vulnerable Republicans, to take a tough vote. The Democrats were all going to vote for this anyway, and it would have been easier for Republicans to criticize them for it if the Republicans hadn't had to join them in the vote. You also had a sort of miniature revolt of some of the Republican moderates in the Senate, people like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, who are the ones who are always the sort of fallback votes for the Democrats when they've got to get above 55. And they sort of said, look, we're sick of doing this for you. We're sick of always being the ones that they go to. You, Mitch McConnell, you're the leader. You, John Cornyn, you're also in the Republican leadership. Why don't you suck it up for a change?